In the heart of Los Angeles, under the hot California sun, a young woman named Haley Grant worked in a small, forgotten auto garage on the outskirts of town. Grease-stained hands, worn-out jeans, and a spark in her eyes. She wasn't the kind of mechanic people noticed, but she was the kind who made broken things live again. Haley wasn't supposed to be there. She had once dreamed of working for McLaren's engineering division, but after being rejected for lack of formal education, she quietly opened her own workshop. Every day, she worked on old trucks, dented sedans, and engines no one else cared to fix. Yet deep down, she still dreamed of something greater, a challenge that could prove her worth to the world. One afternoon, that challenge drove right to her door. A sleek, silver McLaren 720S rolled up, its low hum turning heads on the street. But instead of roaring like a beast, the car sputtered and coughed, steam hissing from its vents. A man in a dark suit stepped out, frustration painted across his face. "You the mechanic?" he asked sharply. Haley nodded, wiping her hands on a rag. "What seems to be the problem?" He hesitated, clearly doubting her. "McLaren's own engineers couldn't fix it," he said. "They told me the engine's fried, custom parts, impossible to repair without a full replacement." Haley crouched beside the car, her fingers tracing the edges of the carbon fiber paneling. "Mind if I take a look?" The man laughed under his breath. "Sure, but don't waste your time. This thing's worth over $1 million. Without another word, Haley lifted the hood and got to work. The moment her hands touched the engine, something inside her clicked. Pure instinct. She listened to the hum, smelled the oil, and felt the metal pulse with life. Within minutes, she spotted what others had missed, a fractured connector near the turbo intake, hidden behind a layer of carbon housing. As she began repairing it, the man's phone buzzed. "Yeah, I'm still at the garage," he said to someone on the line. "Some girl's looking at it now?" "No, not from McLaren, just a local mechanic. She'll be done in a minute, then I'll call the tow." But 10 minutes later, the sound that filled the air silenced them both. The McLaren roared back to life, smooth and powerful, every gear shifting in perfect rhythm. The man stared, stunned. "What the hell did you do?" Haley smiled faintly. "I just listened to it," she said. "Engines talk, you just have to know how to listen." The man's disbelief turned into awe. "Do you know whose car this is?" he asked finally. Haley shook her head. "No, should I?" He pulled off his sunglasses, revealing a familiar face. Ethan Cross, CEO of McLaren North America. "It's mine," he said quietly. Haley froze. Yeah," he interrupted, a slow grin spreading across his face. "And apparently you just fixed what my engineers couldn't." The next morning, Haley's small garage became a spectacle. Black SUVs and glossy cars lined the block as photographers tried to peek inside. McLaren's team had arrived, not to compete, but to recruit. Ethan Cross personally offered her a position as head of engine diagnostics for their California testing division, but Haley hesitated. "I'm not an engineer," she said. "I never even finished college." Ethan smiled. "You don't need a degree to hear what others can't. You have something my entire company lost: intuition." The story spread like wildfire. "Garage girl outsmarts McLaren engineers," read one headline. Within days, Haley's name became a symbol of raw talent, grit, and the power of believing in yourself when no one else does. Months later, Haley stood in a pristine white McLaren facility, her name stitched into a lab coat that once belonged only to the elite. Her first project, developing a new hybrid performance engine, inspired by the same flaw she once repaired. One evening, after a long day in the workshop, she stood before a gleaming new prototype, her reflection shimmering on the chrome. Ethan walked up beside her. "Still think you're not an engineer?" Haley smiled, her eyes glinting with pride. "No," she said softly. "I'm something better. I'm a mechanic who changed the way engines are understood." And somewhere deep in that California night, another car came to life with a sound that wasn't just power. It was proof that dreams built in small garages could echo across the world. Because sometimes the greatest engineers aren't born in universities. They're forged in the fire of rejection, persistence, and the hum of a heart that refuses to give up.